Alright, welcome back to the YouTube channel. So as promised, today we have a full back and biceps day, full pull day. So as promised on the last video, of course, we did our full push day. We're back in paddle and we're going to get it again. So I'm not going to mess about, I'm going to get straight into it. I'm going to be giving a few points, a few cues as usual, so watch along. Try this workout if you want as well. Let's go. All right, starting off on the lat pull down, we're going to call it the upper back lat pull down. Reason being, as you can see there, as I started it, I applied a bit of a tilt to my torso, and then I'm pulling a lot more, targeting the upper back, of course, so I'm calling it the upper back movement. That's going to bring in all sorts of muscles, and I did a post about this actually on my Instagram, and I had a comment asking, aren't lat pull downs for the lats? And in actual fact, they're not necessarily if you do them like this, because the lats are going to run down your entire body. The way I was pulling there and the angle that I was pulling, I'm going to be targeting a lot of my traps, a lot of my rear delts, a lot of the rhomboids as well. So we're targeting the whole upper back musculature because of the angle that I'm pulling down at as well. So with this particular move, with the upper back lat pull, I want to try and keep a bit more of a wider arm grip rather than a narrow arm. And you'll see why later on when I go into a single arm lat pull down to target solely the lats. What you can ideally do as well, if you don't have this grip, which is going to give you this type of hand positioning, you can always just use the standard lat pull down like this bar here, and just attach some D handles to it as well. All right, next up, we're into the chest supported T-bar row. Now I'm going to be pulling the load from low to high. A few cues to look out for, I'll probably mention a few more, but make sure always that your wrist and elbow are in sort of the same line of motion. You'll see as I come up now, just to avoid any damage to the elbow or the wrists, make sure they are in line, and with that, whatever line of force you're getting from the elbow, to follow it with the wrist and not try to go up or down. Obviously a feeder set, I'm working my way up, started on 1 plate, 2 plates, now we're going to get to 3 plates. Go for 8 to 10 on this next set. Right, into the working set now. We've got, well, it might be the working set, I'll see potentially go heavier. We've applied the straps and now we're on to 3 plates on the row. We're going to give it a whirl. That was heavy. These are 25 plates, by the way, not 20 plates. Okay, one main point I want to touch on with this particular row is the protraction and the retraction of the scapula. So as you come forward on this movement, you want to think about almost protracting your scapula to largen the range of motion at the bottom of the rep. As you're coming back, you're going to be limited with the range that you can bring your arms back. So once you get to a point where you're limited, retract the scapula, almost lift your shoulders back and up to get that final squeeze and complete the range of motion at the top. Another thing you want to think about as well is, this also kind of applies for the chest support T-bar row, is instead of almost pulling away, think about pushing your chest into the pad, and in doing that, you're going to facilitate bringing your arms back a lot better and just keeping yourself a lot more fixed rather than using momentum to drive back with the weight. So what a lot of you might be thinking is, oh, this is really similar to the D-handle cable single arm pull down. And it is. The D-handle, where you bring a bench close to the cable, slight incline, keeping yourself in position and using the cable with the D-handle, very similar to this one. But the lat pull down that I was doing was more for the upper back. It's going to target the upper back due to the angle of my torso and the way I was pulling. Now, more of a single arm movement where we're targeting the lats, of course, which run all the way down the body. Is going to now isolate the lats a little bit more, give you that range of motion a lot more as you come down further, rather than just pulling to the chest and simply targeting the upper back. Another benefit for the lats that this offers is, of course, it's more of a narrow grip, which means it offers more of a narrow pathway as you come down. You can almost feel it if you're pulling from a lat pull down like this. What you're going to feel that in is your upper back. If you literally do that, even without weight, you can literally feel the lats a lot more engaged. So yeah, narrow grip, narrow pathway to isolate the lats a little bit better. Right, we're on to seated cable row now, a classic staple. And obviously we're using a bit of a wider grip on this one, simply because if we are pulling wider to the body, it's going to allow us to get a little bit further back. Now, a point that I do want to make though is, although it's going to increase range of motion as we come further back, try and ensure that your elbows aren't pulling too far past your torso, because in order to actually keep the lat engaged, we want to try and keep the tension here. As soon as we start to come back, you can literally feel your lat disengaging more and more you go back. So focus on that kind of range of motion, pulling from the bottom to around the height or the distance of your torso. Alright, so simple but important cue to make sure you're loading the bicep properly and minimizing elbow tension. You want to ensure that as you're coming up, I might often see a lot of times when people are doing preacher curl, their hand position will be out there. If you look there, the elbow is not in line with the line of force at the minute. Where's the line of force when you're doing a preacher curl? It's through the middle of the bicep, right? So if you're out there, what I'm going to do is cause a lot of strain on the elbow. If you're too far in, on the other hand, you can see here as well, there's a slight tilt. Again, loading the bicep in the incorrect way. So make sure your elbow, your wrist, your elbow, your bicep are all in line. Because as I said, the line of force comes through the bicep. So you want to ensure that you're supporting your elbows by having the right positioning. Drops off a lot at the bottom. You need to really control that eccentric on preacher curls that are loaded like this, because the drop off is massive at the bottom. In there. Second and final tip on this one is, as you can see, my non-working arm is holding me in place, but not only holding me in place, it's also shifting my body weight onto the working arm. And what that's going to ensure is that the machine isn't moving me with the movement. I'm controlling the machine and I'm controlling the load. I was gonna do a bit of that, but I've got pull day today. Right, so you see I'm using dumbbells for these bicep curls, and I always talk about how much I love cables and whatever else, but number one, a lot of the cables were taken, so it's just using what I can. And what a bar is going to do is actually constrain the grip, which is going to make the elbow move unnaturally. That wraps up the video, so I hope you enjoyed another bit more in-depth workout video, and of course we have one left. I'm going to be completing my split. I'm going to be filming my leg day at some point as well and getting that onto the YouTube, so look out for that one. But for now, that's been it. Thank you again for tuning in. If you did enjoy this video, please like, please subscribe, and stay tuned for a lot more videos while I'm out here.